Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Polar Racking's Buyer's Guide to Commercial Solar Carports. My name is Vishal Lala. I'm the Managing Director of Polar Racking. And thank you very, very much for taking the time today, this hour here to spend with us to learn more about solar carports and our offering. Excited to present the information to you and, as always, answer your questions. We do have the chat feature set up here. So as you think of the questions, please don't wait. Just add them into that chat room, and we'll take the time at the end of the conversation or end of the presentation to answer all the questions to the best of our ability and get back to you with anything we don't have at our fingertips here right now. Presenting with me today will be Jonathan Mizrachi. He's our sales director in the US, based in Long Island, and the expert of carports here today, because we're quoting and selling a lot of them, especially in the Northeast right now. So with that said, I'll talk a little bit about Polar Racking and then hand it over to Jonathan to tell you a little bit more about our solar carport offering. So Polar Racking was founded in 2009. We currently have offices in Ontario, Canada, New York, and Ohio. We started as a rooftop racking manufacturer way back 12 years ago, but since then we do flat roof, flush mount, rooftop, ground mounts, fixed ground mount, and carport racking. We also supply a variety of foundation solutions. So we make our own ground screws and helical piles, and we're able to supply driven piles as well. We also, with our ground mount system, supply ballasted systems. So pour in place, precast ballast, as well as gate and basket. So geoballast solutions as well. So here's a quick look at our product lineup. PRG is our flat rooftop product. Again, you have all the foundation options. We have our flush mount product, which we call PRR. PRUD is our distribution ground mount. So it's basically a pre-engineered ground mount system available through distributors for small ground mounts. So anything less than 500 kilowatts. PRU is our utility scale ground mount system, which is very custom designed for your site location, and that is, anywhere from 500 kilowatts to 500 megawatts, essentially, or greater. And then PRP is our solar carport solution, which we're here to talk about today. So with that, I'll hand it over to John to take it forward next.
Thank you, Vishal, and welcome everyone. Excited to be here today. Look forward to the presentation, talking about carports with Polar Racking. We've been busy this last year and a half with our carports. It's a really exciting product. I know a lot of developers, installers, and the like, constant phone calls in, which is a good thing. And it seems like there's a lot of traction out there in multiple markets for carports. So, some of the, biggest things that we see with development of carports is that, it allows you to use a space that otherwise was not really used. So a lot of times we have clients that go back to existing customers that may have, installed a rooftop system, let's say, on a building, but they have some, ample parking lot space. Whether they're going behind the meter or in front of the meter with maybe a community solar program or something like that, just allows you to, offer another product line to an existing customer, I think is the point that I'm trying to get at. We have a very customizable approach and solution. I get a lot of questions where, folks ask me, hey, Jonathan, what's the standard solution that, you use for a parking lot like this? Well, the real answer is there is no sort of boilerplate or template solution. every parking lot is really different. Measurements will be different. The angle of the parking spots may be different. Application, soil conditions, just variable winds and snow loads, so everything is really custom when it comes down to, the carport design and, how do we want to place footings and canopies, that sort of thing. Polar racking, we do provide in-house design, engineering, project management, and installation services. You could pretty much pick and choose as much or as little of these services as you need. Obviously, you probably want us to do our, the first two, the in-house design and engineering, give you a stamped racking plan set. But as far as project management and installation services, we get customers that want us to project manage and install both foundation and build the rack. We have others that are well equipped to do so and decide that, they want to do it, and, we just supply materials at that point. Lead time is a big one that comes up as well. So lead time, Vishal, you're editing. Okay. So lead time is one that comes up as well. Lead times right now with, a constrained supply chain, really have extended out. We've been really ahead of that, able to secure our steel and manufacturing throughout a network of plants that we use. So we've been able to keep our manufacturing timeline down to a 10 to 12 week turnaround, including engineering and so forth. So that's really good considering the market conditions today with all the turmoil, and, it's not only about, just the pricing alone, but it's actually, getting the steel itself, the raw material is really important. So just some things to keep an eye out for there. Next slide.
Sorry about that. We'll make this work here.
All right, so what we first wanted to show everyone today is basically the process. How do you submit a project that you're looking at or you would like to begin with? We have some really cool feature here on our website. It's basically called the Start Your Order. You simply will click on that button. There's two locations. There's one in the upper right-hand corner that you see there, and then, of course, one right in the center of the page, big blue button. Click Start Your Order. Once you click that, you have to select from one of the product lines that we offer. Essentially, you could select from ground mount, either rooftop, whether it's ballasted with a PRG system or a rail system with PRR. Of course, today we're talking about carports. And lastly, solar foundations. We do offer some geotechnical services and foundation supply to a lot of other vendors and larger developers out there. So that's one of them that you can look at. Next slide. So right here is basically where you input all the information in the form, right? Obviously, we want to know who you are, what the project is, where's the project located, what's the size of the project, how many modules, what type of modules, right? So this is really important stuff that we're going to go over today further into the presentation. Basically, what are we looking for as far as the panels? That determines, obviously, the space of the canopy, the size of the system, as well as the size of steel that's needed. We also would like to see the module data sheet, installation manuals. Some of them have specific installation needs. So that's something to keep an eye out for. And then the type of structures that you're looking for. We also would like to see your design, right? So a preliminary design would be great. If you have a stamp design, even better. But we would like to see a design and what you're looking for. It's really difficult for us when we get the inquiry for, hey, we got this parking lot and we don't have anything designed, but we're looking for something 1 to 2 megawatts per se. Like that kind of request, just, it's really tough for us to do because there's no real guidance given there, right? What are you looking for? Are you looking for, specific size, type, look? So really, when you give us a specific, as far as details to the project, that will really help us in expediting the quote back to you, knowing exactly what you want, and less questions back to you. So the more you can input in here, you also have notes and considerations. The more you can input, like I say, the better it is, the more we'll know about the project, and the quicker the turnaround time will be. So we're going to start to show you guys some of the different configurations, more standard typical configurations out there. And then we'll go into some of the details and specifics of each of the options and specifics therefrom. So the first one we want to show here is the L-shaped configuration. Typically with L-shape, you have a single row parking space, meaning one car will park underneath the canopy, and typically on the opposite side of that car is, like you see here in the picture, a walkway or something like that. So it's a single cantilever, like you see. We have offset those cantilevers slightly as well. That is an option that you could look at, but this is a basic L configuration. It is your most costly option when you look at it because the foundations and the columns are the same size as if we were to do a T-shaped structure, which is what we'll show you on the next slide. So this is your basic configuration with the T-shape, right? Same type of column that's coming out of the ground. Essentially on this, you'll have 3 modules on the north side of the column, 3 modules on the south side of the column with your standard 72 cell format type of module. This is a monoslope design. So meaning you're probably going to face this in the southerly direction since we're on the northern hemisphere. And it's a probably the most common that we see is this T shape right here. Next slide. So another interesting design that we have is this Y-shaped configuration. We see this is also a very common configuration, very similar to the T-shape. Essentially here, this is a parking lot that has an east and west orientation. So what we do is we actually have the panels face one another. Again, this is the same 3 on one side, 3 on the other type of configuration. Very common, again, east-west with a single post, single column. Next slide. So pie-shaped structures. These are quite interesting for a lot of parking lots that may have a need for more panels in a particular space, or that have sort of a walkway or an island in between the parking spaces facing one another, right? So this is very common. It allows us to essentially go 4 panels on either side. So, we, in these pictures here, you have it as a Y shape. We can also do it as a T shape. But yeah, they're fully attached to one another, and allow for a little bit more capacity as far as the structures go. So another great methodology of using with, some particular parking spaces that you may have. And then finally, long spans. I mean, we see a lot of long spans in some of these, larger municipal parking areas. We also see them in parking decks, so elevated parking decks where, you have a few floors and then the top floor is just open to open air. We've installed these long span arrays. If you look at this bottom right-hand corner picture, kind of gives you a little description of what a long span may look like. You could see the north-south span between columns is almost 100 feet, 97 feet. there, and then east-west from post to post or column to column, essentially that's typically about 18 to 20 feet, I would say, in northern locations throughout the U.S. and Canada. So some key product components that, we'd like to go over and discuss with you today. So as I mentioned before, these systems are very custom. So foundation design, right? It's going to be very specific based on the regions, what's your snow load, wind load, geo, technical conditions, right? What's in the ground there. Very important for us to design with that. And that's, once we come further down the line in the project, we actually look at that and, it is one of the key considerations in engineering. Primary structure is always attached with an anchor bolt to the foundation. No on-site welding is required. Everything is pre-punched in the factory. So again, we're using those specific module conditions. Modules will have the mounting hole positions. Very important that, whatever module you choose, you stay with, because we are going to set that through, our machinery and pre-punch those holes. So it's very easy for the installation. Everything lines up and seamless on site. Secondary structure, custom purlins for your modules is exactly what I'm talking about. Everything is corrosion resistant, galvanized steel. We do have options for, higher galvanization if needed, if you're closer to the shore or, it may be a public project that you're working on and, they have some higher needs, we could always take a look at that, discuss it, and then pull forward a higher methodology of galvanization. Everything is integrated bonding. We use bonding washers, and of course we use wire management that's inherent to our design. So, your modules are then bonded to the structure itself. And then, of course, these structures are anchored deep within the ground. So you have a fully bonded solution. Slide. All right, so some design considerations to take a look at, right? So multiple tilt angles available. Basically, we recommend from 0 degree to a 7-degree tilt. That's sort of the range that you want to keep in. Anything greater than a 70-degree tilt, you're going to look at higher need for steel, so heavier steel on site to be able to hold the wind, snow load, seismic loads, whatever it may be. You want to keep in mind any locations of trees, where's the sun coming from, foundation spacing within the parking lots. We all know typically a parking lot width of the stripes is 9 feet wide. However, when these guys stripe these parking lots, they always come out differently, right? So, having a survey on site, not only for topography, but also for, the stripes, where the line's located. We always want to land, in between parking spots if possible. So that is our goal. Sometimes we require that, just given the lay of the land, you may need to restripe the lots, but we do try and avoid that as much as possible. Something that comes out again in the engineering process. Structure height. So this is a really important one. Is the lot in a fire lane? If you have a commercial, industrial type of parking lot or building that you're installing these canopies next to, are there trucks passing underneath, right? So we need to know these heights. Fire lanes include fire trucks, ambulances, emergency vehicles. We see things with, waste removal, garbage trucks. Do they need to pass underneath? So very important to understand, the host site and what's happening, who's pulling through those parking lots. Next, we're going to go into some other uses for these structures. So we spoke a little bit about the galvanization, right? So we could give some higher levels of galvanization, again, if needed. Powder coating, as you saw in one of the first slides, we do offer powder coating. You could do many different colors. We basically have a color palette that's available, black, red, green, blue, purple, whatever you could think of. We do see that a lot of companies do like that idea. It does come at a higher cost, of course, to powder coat steel with the different colors out there. Another one that we see often is watertight structures and water management. So there's a few methodologies in watertight structures, right? Two ways that we basically look at it. One is we can install a roofing substructure underneath the panels, right? And that would basically give you a corrugated roofing underneath the array and be able to shed the water to whichever direction, it's basically pointing. We would add a gutter and leader system as well. Another methodology of making things watertight is adding gaskets, right? So no roofing substructure underneath, but we would add gaskets in between the panels, both north and south, east and west. That way you do get a, probably 90 to 95% watertight solution. It's not 100%, but it does keep a lot of the elements, again, 90 to 95%, from falling through the cracks in between panels. Water management, so gutters and leaders, again, another big topic of conversation in a lot of these projects. We do see this quite often. It's important to know when you think about gutters and leaders, where do you want the water to go, right? Where are the drains? And then how much water can those drains handle? Because again, we are redirecting water that's collecting on top of an array or a roof, for that matter, if you think about it, right? And then pouring all that water into, a few centralized locations. So it's important to understand, where does this water go and what drainage systems are in place? What's the topography of the parking lot, right? So where's the parking lot pitched, right? So that will tell us, hey, we want to put a leader in one section of the parking lot, but not in, maybe another where it's uphill kind of thing, and then have the water travel the full way. So those are some things that we want to think about and plan ahead of time. Snow guards, northern conditions, right? We want snow guards. We don't want snow crashing or falling down on top of people or vehicles. So we do offer snow guard options. There's quite a few different types of snow guard options that we could offer. And of course, we will look at that on a project level basis. Again, everything is highly customizable. So we want to look at the project, figure out the needs, and then apply the most cost-effective and effective solution for the system itself. Big one coming about right now is EV, of course. So oftentimes we do get EV charging questions. So you can customize the systems for either the columns to hold an EV charger. We've also, attached our inverter technologies to the columns as well. We have some bracket and mounting options there. So you could do things on site and customize the site to hold, other technologies on those columns and infrastructure that we're giving you. Next slide. So some of the services that we offer, we do offer geotechnical services. We have a sister company in PRI Engineering, great company offering geo services. So we could help explore some geotechnical that you need. We do offer installation training for those that do have the installation capabilities, but want maybe a project manager on site from Polar Racking to help guide through some of the installation efficiencies that we do have. So we could provide that as well. Of course, we do offer foundation installation and mechanical installation of these canopies. So, you know, you could tell us, hey, look, we want you to come out, install the foundations, you know, so we would drill out foundation holes, put, you know, steel rebar cages inside of the holes, pour the concrete, attach our J-hook assemblies, you know, to the concrete, and then, you know, drill the foundation columns in place, and then of course assemble the rest of the racking system as well. So these are all services that we offer. You could choose to use them, or you could choose not to. It's, you know, it's per your discretion, your capabilities of what you're looking for. We do also offer module installation. Module installation is just installing the module on top of the racking. We're going to bolt it to the racking system. We will not make any electrical connections. Many of the jurisdictions, different states require that, you know, you have, you know, electrician on site to do those electrical connections. So we try and avoid that. We just stick to the module mounting, and then, you know, let your crews take over from there for any electrical connections or wiring and so forth. Next slide. So again, some frequently asked questions. So what are the snow and wind load limits? Typically, we've seen as high as 60 PSF snow load. So we have systems out there with 60 PSF snow load. Other systems out there in the Caribbean and Florida, let's say, where we have a 185 mile per hour wind loads. You know, one other thing I would like to add is, you know, Polar Racking is a Canadian company. So, you know, we do see some very harsh climates in northern Canada, that sort of thing. So, you know, this system was designed with that in mind. You know, this is, you know, a very strong, heavy steel structure with installation efficiency kept in mind as well. So the next question that we see a lot, how do you determine the foundation requirements? And we kind of went over this a little bit, but we do design our foundations based on the local geotechnical information required. So we do need geotechnical information. This will allow us to then engineer the proper structure, depth, width, different types of foundations that we could do. Quite typically, you know, most common, I should say, we do see the caisson foundation. We've also done quite a few systems with spread footers, where, you know, for whatever reason, the soil conditions will not allow us to go as deep as we need. So we kind of go wide. And then we also have helical solutions as well, where we drill a helical into the ground, and that is our, you know, foundation anchor to the soil. And finally, the third question, what are your options for water management? So again, we offer several options, including a full waterproofing using either a roof deck. We also offer gutters and leaders, or we could go with the rubber gasket type of methodology, which will go in between the panels, both north and south, east and west, and allow, you know, full control of the water. So, you know, you could then direct the water to the gutter system to where we need it in the parking lot to have, you know, proper drainage and so forth. Next slide. So this is the part where we open it up to questions. You have both my contact information there in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. I'm Jonathan Mizraki again. So I'm the sales director in the US. We also have my counterpart, AJ. He is managing the Canadian and Caribbean markets. So if you're in Canada or Caribbean islands, I'd rather be in the Caribbean islands, a little bit nicer, but, you know, you know, your choice. But his contact information there is there as well. And I'm going to open it up to some questions. And I think Vishal is going to come back on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for that, John, for reviewing and taking us through that. We have a couple of questions here, not too much, but I'll start with the two questions that we do have. So when does the 10 to 12 week timeline begin? Does it begin with start my order? No, it actually begins once we get a purchase order in place and we know what design we're going with. So yeah, at start my order, it typically, we start with a very preliminary design and we get some pricing in front of you. So you can tell us where you're at. So we'll get you a layout, we'll get you a price. But yeah, no, the lead time starts once we get a purchase order and a deposit in place typically. So hi, could you share this presentation? Absolutely. There will be a link sent out to everyone that attended after probably a day or two after this is over. So by the end of the week, you should get a link with this presentation that you can share, review on your own or share with your team. So do you have a standard CCDC NMS spec available? No, don't believe we have a standard CCDC NMS spec available. To be perfectly honest with you, we've never been asked for one, so I'm not 100% sure what you need there. John,
send us an email, and then yeah, I was just gonna say, if you need anything or any requests, you have both my email and AJ's here on the screen. You can also use the generic sales at Polar Racking. Send us an email with what you're looking for, and we'd be happy to help you with that.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Mitchell, for the question. I'm looking forward to receiving the email to dig into that a little bit more. Luis asks, have you worked with any customers in Mexico? Polar has done work in Mexico before, not on Carports yet, but we're very happy to do so. So yeah, please send us your inquiry and we'll definitely revert back to you quickly. Graham Smith, do PRI do geotech in the USA? Absolutely. PRI is done geotech all over the Northeast USA, from New York to Maine to Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I've also done work in the Caribbean and then all over Canada. So definitely send us your inquiry and we'd be happy to work with you on that. So Chris asked, with the Y design, why isn't it tiled the opposite way in that the high point is in the middle? That gives more energy over the day in north-south to provide vehicles with better shading. So we can absolutely do that as well. Typically we find with the Y, people are trying to channel like the water or the snow or whatever it might be. But yeah, we can actually work it in both directions. So if you have a project like that, yeah, please send it across. Scott, what is the highest ground clearance you can design to? So typically on most carports we see it's 10 feet, 10 to 12 feet. We can definitely go higher. We've seen 14 in cases where it's a fire lane. It's just it just comes down to like the higher you go, the bigger the beams that we use, and it directly translates to the cost. So
got to have it in your budget. That's
exactly
the end result there. If you have it in your budget, if you have something in mind, I mean, like right now we're working on a carport, where oil trucks are coming underneath there. So we need a little bit more clearance. You just got to make sure that you have it in your budget. Keep it in mind that you will need more, steel involved, both, maybe in the columns as well as above head and the purlins and so forth. So, let's, just keep that in mind. And Scotty, send it over. Take a look,
All right. Ken asks, are bifacial panels recommended in any stats? So we don't have any stats. Bifacials will work because you've got, when it's a direct bolt type design, you have the majority of the panel anyways exposed at the bottom. And again, typically parking lots, you don't necessarily have a white surface at the bottom. So yeah, that might not be the right question for us to answer. You might have to figure that out. That being said, many of the carports that we've supplied, we've noticed that our customers are using bifacial modules. So
yeah, just to add there, it seems like a lot of the manufacturers now are offering bifacial over just standard model, especially in the U.S. I think it's tariff related, obviously, on the panel side. But yeah, I believe that most of the panels that we're seeing on newer projects are bifacial. I do believe that is because of price and tariff related from the panel manufacturer side. I'm sure you could run some modeling on if bifacials are recommended as far as a production standpoint. With some of these design softwares out there. It's not something that we would do at Polar, but if you give us the module and specifications, we could certainly design a system to meet your expectations.
yeah, exactly. So thank you for the question, Kent. There's no other questions right now. Again, you have all of our contact information on the screen. We're very much looking forward to hearing from you with additional questions or additional project information. As Jonathan said, we take great pride in the fact that we have designed a very robust system, a system that will look nice for you and your customers, because they will, as opposed to a standard rooftop or ground mount, they will be seeing it every day. So it's very robust. It's a good looking product. We feel like we can offer you the support that you need to get your project off the ground from below ground all the way up. And yeah, we're anxious to work with you. So any other thoughts there, Jonathan? Or
yeah, just like I said, our contact information is there on the screen. Any questions, if you have anything that you want to ask offline, please feel free to give either myself or AJ a call. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, any design needs that you may have, whatever may come up. Absolutely, that's what we're here for. We're really willing and able to help you with your project needs. I think that's something that sets us apart from some of our competition is the personal service that we give. So just wanted to put that out there again, that feel free to reach out, and anything we can do to assist and help you with your project, just let us know.
Perfect. All right. Well, yeah, thank you again for your time. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, we look forward to hearing from all of you.